1975 on their new album. Oh boy.
Notes on a conditional form. One of the shorter titles, brother.
Matt Healy, dog. That's all I got to say. I'll let you lead this one.
Yeah, this is the fourth album from the British quartet from Manchester, the 1975. I think a band that has rose in estimation, generally speaking, coming off their last album in 2018, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. Notably, their song off that, Love It If We Made It, got a lot of accolades and comparisons to past touchstones, such as Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire, and the overall lyrics reflecting on the current state of affairs of the world were compared to stuff like Radiohead's Kid A. I think to more rockist folks, these were tough comps to hear, considering 1975 is tried and true a pop rock band, emphasis on the pop. But, Matty Healy is, I think, one of the most intriguing frontmen in rock music, whether he's a rock artist or not, because he kind of just is a good interview and he says a lot of shit, and I just kind of find him really interesting, even if he ultimately makes a lot of really weird music. And this fourth album, Notes on a Conditional Form, I think is a lot like album 3 in the sense that it's very scattershot. They're doing a lot of different things, genre-wise, sound-wise. Issue with this one is it's also quite long. Yeah. So I think lack of coherence can be tough, but also maybe they justify the length just a tad more because it jumps around more. I don't know. But yeah, this felt like another 1975 album coming out of album 3. So there's stuff I like, stuff I don't like, and there's a lot going on. They're doing the most. That's what they do. So in a sense, it met expectations. But as a noted non-fan of the band, how did you handle this fourth record?
Well, it was a long listen. It's 80 minutes long. I mean, come on, like 22 songs.
Very, very long. Very indulgent.
And I think when you think about the 1975, you really have to think about them as the ultimate millennial Gen Z band, right? Because it almost feels like their whole point is to not ever stay in one lane. Like they're just always like jumping around from thing to thing, and that's kind of what they want to go for. They just want to be this band that you can't put labels on, you can't pin down. Sure, and some of that they do really well, but the funny thing is that some of it just leaves me head scratching. You start off this album with this very long intro from Greta Thunberg.
Yep. This is previously released song, by the way. This is a single.
Yes, this was a single from them, and she has this I think 4 to 5 minute talk about the climate crisis, and that the solution is very easy. We need to stop the emission of greenhouse gases, and she this whole thing, and it feels like it's going to be a statement for the album, right? Like you put that as the first song, it's almost saying like we're talking about this, and then the rest of the album is about like relationships, being online, things not working out, times that you were happy, times you weren't. It feels just kind of, and like this, I will say this is followed up by a song called People, which I couldn't even make it all the way through because it just felt like such a fucking clusterfuck in my ear. But to start off with that and then like move away so quickly just feels so okay. Like we're just gonna jump around like you can't pay attention to anything and you have ADHD. It's fine because some of the songs are pretty good and catchy and like they're good pop songs. I think where I feel very turned off by the 1975, it's not necessarily their fault, but they have been tapped, I think, in a lot of ways as like the next great rock band heading into, I don't know, the 2020s. Especially after the last album, getting those comparisons to things like Kid A, Actung Baby, Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire. They're really positioned as this like the next crossbear for rock music, and they're not really rock. they're pretty straight pop, and I think the more people can realize that and stop putting the pressure on them to be this rock band, the more they can just make the Bieber-esque pop songs that they wanted right now. Like a couple of these songs were pretty good. The song, hold on, If You're Too Shy, Let Me Know, banger of a song. That saxophone solo
Really
at
good.
the end, loved it. That was great. Another
That was like
song that I
a
thought,
an '80s like new wave song, but it's talking about being online all the time. I thought that was like kind of
yes,
perfect 1975, really.
that was great. And but it's pure pop, like it
Yeah.
really actually sounds like Carly Rae Jepsen's "I Want You in My Room" a lot of the time. Like I was like, oh, this is very just of that lane. A song like "I Think There's Something You Should Know," pretty much soft pop love song. Like I mean, uh, me and you together. It's very '90s alt rock love song. Like
Yeah, that
it's
was good.
just
I like that one too.
yeah, also good. Like
Really
some of
great
these things
groove.
really work. And then you also go to things like Roadkill, which is this like attempt at being Western, which had varying effects at points in the song to me. You have things like man, I don't even remember which track it was playing. Oh no, Having No Head, which is just a no words, I don't know, intro song.
Lots of yeah. There's like what 5 or 6 interludes that are
What if,
effectively complete instrumentation songs, and that's half the reason the album's so long is
cut it out.
because you have all these interludes that are just instrumentals, and I'm not anti interlude when they're not all full length. On top of you also had 16 full lengths real songs,
Mhm.
like you could have kept the interludes if you trimmed some of the other stuff out, whatever. It's funny. Roadkill actually stood out to me because I mean that's what track 9 or
Right in
something.
the middle or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it like popped up in like a weird way in my ears, and I was like, oh wait, this is different. And after
Mhm.
hearing a few interludes already and some of the softer kind of traditional stuff they've done before leading up to it, at least made my ears pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I, what you said, "Me and You Together" song right after Roadkill though, I really like that one. That kind of had like I'm trying to place and I couldn't figure it out, but like kind of like a pop punk melody to it. I was like, does this remind me of Blink 182? I couldn't really figure it out,
Hmm.
but it kind of reminded me of something. The way they had a song on their last album reminded me of R. Kelly. Like they have a way of kind of mimicking famous melody of the past in cool ways, which I do
Yeah.
appreciate.
That song, it almost kind of reminded me. I was trying to think if it was like it's not Blind Melon. There's another band from the '90s that I'm really blanking on that it sounded a lot like, and I was like, oh fuck, you're just kind of ripping them off. But I couldn't
Yeah.
place it, so maybe they're not. Maybe they are just kind of melding that sound. And that's the thing is that like middle run is pretty fucking good. Like in terms of like pop music, that's some of the best pop music you're probably gonna listen to this year. And Healy really crafts some great songs on here. But then you have things like Bagsy Not in Net. What the fuck was that, dude? Like, just so random in terms of like sound and genre. I don't know. And I guess like for me, like the album seems very scattershot and like that. I know the 1975 is kind of their thing. To me, it feels just a bit like a mess, and like you
Mhm.
could have just used a little bit more time to tighten things up. Um,
Yep.
and starting off with like a thesis statement of climate change and crisis, and this is what we're all facing, and then moving towards just like the mundane, normal relationship stuff most bands sing about. Just feels like maybe you should have had a different thought about where you put that. I don't know. Just
Yeah, a little performative.
But overall, very 1975. Some good, some bad. Uh, probably the album I've liked the most though. They're growing on me, Dave. Maybe by the next album I'll be a fan. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if this is an album that'll win over new converts versus just placate the large fan base they already have. Because it's so long and largely inaccessible and jumps around. I don't know if I think he's gonna have to play the highlights for people to get them into the band because I mean you run if I run through the other uh, 3 albums, I don't like most of the songs, but then there's songs that I really do like because there is an undeniable, I think, pop strength that Healy and the crew bring to some of their songs. But
Uh,
yeah, I just want to shout out "What Should I Say" at the end as well because that had some really heavy vocal effects on
yeah.
that song, unlike really anything to that point on the album. And that was kind of revelatory to me. I was like, wow, this sounds really good, and this is really new for them. So
Mhm. Yeah. I
that
think
that was pretty cool.
I had two more thoughts. First, their drummer is great. Like
Mm-hmm.
he seems to really hold the band together, and the drums almost always stand out. to me. Second, and I had this thought while I was driving listening to this album, is the 1975 just like the pop rock version of Drake? You know, they released these super long albums, you know, kind of directionless, trying a lot of genres, just kind of seeing what's going to pop off, what won't. It feels a bit like, I mean, Drake is so much more, he's just releasing music constantly. 1975 isn't, but I mean, it feels like the closest comparison I could think to another
Well,
artist.
Maddie had said that they wanted to put this album out about a year ago. They initially announced this album was going to come out like May 2019 or something, like 5-6 months after the last album in 2018. And obviously things got pushed back, and we were supposed to get this end of April. Coronavirus pushes it back a month, and yeah, I think there's some truth to that, especially contemporary Drake, who does really jump around in terms of following waves and just trying stuff out. Yeah, I guess, I mean, they're at least closer than any other quote rock band, right?
Yeah, maybe this is their more life. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.